Welcome back again to this course, Introduction to Java Programming Language. Again, a presentation of coding boot camps. We're currently going through session 4, which is flow control. And here in this video, we are going to discuss best practices, and we are going to go through some remaining items. Let's talk about some best practices when we are using our constructs. So use strings carefully within loops. So if two strings are concatenated using the plus sign or the concatenation operator, we'll actually take a look at concatenation in our lab example. This will create a new string object every time. So therefore, it'll keep running the concatenation and build on the string from the previous loop. So be very careful of that. You could end up with a very long string and an application that's not working correctly and output that is not desirable. And also, one of the most expensive operations in Java as far as memory utilization is object creation. So there's a general recommendation that create objects and initialize only when necessary. And also, never create an object within a loop, because you'll either get an error message or you'll get many, many more objects than you will intend to have. Let's take a quick look at our assignment. So here you can see that we want to use our if statements or if else if statements or other approaches where we are evaluating the value of age, and then we're outputting a message. So we are going to take a look at that. And just a reminder, in the assignment, we need to get the age, and the age in our assignment is going to be passed in from the keyboard. And take a look at the example, but here we are going to use we have to add the library for the scanner class. And then what we do is we instantiate, there's that new command, we instantiate scanner and create the keyboard object. And then keyboard has all of the methods and properties of scanner. And we will output a message to the user, and we are going to call the next int method. And what that is doing is getting the integer input from your keyboard. One thing, please make sure you enter integer, because our lab is not going to be very robust. Our summary here, we looked at conditional constructs with ifs and if else's and else's. We looked at looping constructs, nested control constructs. We looked at break and continue statements, and we talked about some best practices. Again, take a look at your learning materials for links and information on private coaching sessions for Java. And thank you. Let's take a brief look at our lab. So with our lab here, this is just one example of the lab. But we create a project. So take a look at the steps to create a Java project. You have that documented. We create a package that we call constructs, and we import the scanner class libraries. We create a class called myConstructs, and we have our main method. So in here, we're again outputting those instructions to the user. We are instantiating scanner class and creating the keyboard object, and we're calling next int on keyboard. So we're taking that integer input from the keyboard. First block here, we're evaluating whether it's equal to 4, and we are outputting a message. If it's true and equal to 4, we're outputting the message. Else, we are outputting the message that the input is not equal to 4. And we're using that concatenation here in both, with the plus sign that we discussed earlier in the video. Now here we are looking for the age input. So again, we get that input from the from the keyboard, and if it's less than 16, we can't drive. And then we are testing here. We do it else if. Notice this is else if. So it's the block is going to continue if this statement is false, it's going to go to the else if there is indeed an else if. It'll evaluate that statement, and an else if needs a statement. If this, again, we use a logical or here, and if either one of these statements in the or are true, then this statement is true, and we'll get this part of the code block will run. And then we just come down here again, and this time we're using the logical and. We're seeing if my int is between 18 and 24 and outputting a message, and then else if we're evaluating this condition. If the age is greater than 25, we're outputting this message. And we're going through our loops, so different loops based on that same keyboard input. So we are going to be counting through the loop and outputting, in this case, just outputting the current iterations. And then these sections here are just divided up by this console output. And we have our while loop here, and we have our do while loop, so you can get some work with the difference between those. Then we're going to work here with a break. So we are going to set up a loop to loop initially with the header to loop 5 times. However, if when we get to the iteration where z in this case is equal to 2, we will break out of the loop. So we'll see the output there. And then we are going to use the continue statement. So what happens when the condition I is equal to 4? What happens there? You'll see the output. And then we are calling close on keyboard to delete the object from memory. So let's run this. So we'll right click here on the Java class file, do run as Java application. And in this case, we'll put in 18. And then we'll see the output here. We'll see the output, and then we'll see the looping constructs here based on that input of 18. So take a look at this. I know this is a little long, but the idea here is to cover everything we've covered. You can actually add this code one section at a time. And also, please stay tuned for the next lesson.